Hi everyone, and today I'm very happy and delighted because I'm sitting in the campus of Punjab University with a very erudite personality and academically enriched and decorated Professor Indupal Kaur ma'am. Ma'am, welcome on YourPedia.
Hello Ji, thank you so much Dr. Vijender for approaching me, and I feel honored to be on this forum and interacting with you and maybe your viewers.
Yes ma'am. Ma'am, Professor Indupal Kaur, let me tell each one of you here, she is professor and chairperson of University Institute of Pharmaceutical Science. And presently this campus, this where we are sitting, that is in Punjab University, Chandigarh. So there are so many things which are basically to be discussed today, and I have made entire questionnaire here. Ma'am, I have jotted on many points here, and it is going to be a very long session.
So I'll try and address them to the best.
So if you give me permission, I can start with the first point.
Sure.
Okay, ma'am, you have 30 patents in your name, and the best part is 10 out of these are already granted. And you have recently received a very prestigious National Intellectual Property Award 2021-2022 for being the top Indian individual for patent filing, grant and commercialization. And also you received a World Intellectual Property Organization Medal for Inventors, and the award was given none other than Mr. Piyush Goyal, who is Union Minister of Commerce and Industry and is instituted by the Office of Controller General of Patents, Design and Trademark under the Department for Promotion of Industries and Internal Trade, DPIIT. I want, ma'am, to congratulate you. First, I want to congratulate you for this very good achievement, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And on behalf of my entire team, we want to congratulate you for this recognition. And I want to start this entire interaction with this particular award only. Please throw some light on this achievement.
Yeah, so this was actually a surprise for me as well. I was not aware that such type of awards are existing. So it just happened that I received a mail from the Controller General of Patents office.
Okay.
And they sent the brochure along with it. So probably they sent it to quite a number of people who already had some patents granted from their office, and maybe they knew, because this patent was for 21 and 22 combined. They couldn't conduct the contest last
because of
year.
COVID.
Because of the COVID and everything. So maybe they had identified a few people who could be contenders. This is, I'm assuming that. So I got this mail and I thought, okay, let me apply for this. And then somehow the mail, went beneath several other mails. But then I suddenly remembered that I had to apply for it. And I would say, luckily they had extended the date also. So then I applied for this award, and I sent my data, and then after some days I received a call from their office, and they wanted some more documentation on it and things like that. So the award, as you mentioned, is for the maximum number of patents filed, granted, commercialized and having a societal impact. In the proportion of 10:40:10. So they laid more stress on the patents granted and the patents, the technologies commercialized in last 4 years. So in that, I think I had a significant number. And when I went to receive the award there, so they have an award for a male as well as a female category. Obviously, I got it in the female category, but I was quite happy and proud to know that my male counterpart had a much lesser number. So if they had a common award also, still I would have received it. बहुत बारी हम लोग सुनते हैं कि usually these awards are fixed or things like that. But I'm again very happy and proud to say that if you can build your data, your CV, like the way that they are unable to ignore your efficiency or your achievements, then you are bound to get it. So this is a sure advantage. I did not know anybody, and the best part was that I met several jury members. They especially came over to meet me, and they congratulated me, and they said we were very happy to see your information. And then this WIPO award is this is a world organization, and they usually give awards across the globe, and 2 awards are awarded in India. So amongst these awardees only, they identify a person who has the highest, and that is how this came to me and not to my male counterpart. So
the tenure, ma'am, which I was saying, like 2021, 2022, when pandemic was there and everybody was suffering from this, pharmaceutical science and the knowledge of pharmaceutical science played a very, very crucial role in finding solutions to so many problems.
True.
So very right time, I think you have got this award.
I think so. We always tell our students that we are a profession which can never, go into a slump or anything.
Recession.
Recession. There can be no recession for us. So that way, yes, we belong to a profession where we can contribute to the society.
Very true, ma'am. Ma'am, my next couple of questions are related to patent only. And my next question is, so you have so many patent technologies. What comes to the mind is, once you have patent, you always think of having your own venture, your own startups. So as a professor, you never thought of having your own startups, ma'am?
Yes, I did. I now, for the past certain number of years, and looking at, so I had my exposure, I went for a Fulbright fellowship in 2017 to US. And now when I look at my global counterparts, I see so many professors churning out spin-offs, mentoring them for a certain number of years, and then, selling it or handing it over to the students and things like that, and then doing another one. So it actually fascinates me. But the thing is that we are yet coming up with our policies, our rules, and in Punjab University, but Punjab University has been in a way trendsetter in several of these. When we set up the Center for Industry Institute Partnership Cell, that was a vision by our seniors, I would say, or the vice chancellors, earlier vice chancellors. I don't think at that time several universities had such a center in place. So very recently, I think last year, our Senate and Syndicate have approved that the faculty can have their own startups.
Wonderful.
So maybe now
you can think of,
inshallah, if it happens.
Wonderful. In fact, I'll be discussing that part, ma'am, where you mentioned about students. I'll be coming to that part. But before that, ma'am, I want to discuss with you related to the transferred technologies to industries. You have already transferred 4 technologies to the industry. This is mind-blowing, ma'am. This is wonderful. I want you to tell us briefly about these 4 technologies. How did it happen? And share the secret.
I think there is no secret except hard work. Another thing which I always tell my students is read, 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 read. And read. There is no alternative to that. So the more you read what is existing in the public domain, more ideas you get, you are able to identify the research gaps which are existing, you are able to identify what is required, and that in itself gives you ideas and innovations, I think. And as far as you want me to explain those technologies.
So very briefly, if you can tell us about 4 technologies.
All right. So 2 of the technologies were transferred to a company, High-Tech Formulations Limited. So one of the technologies is on the development of lipidic nanoparticles for retinoids. So retinoids what we covered was tretinoin, and this is a molecule which is really catching the public eye in terms of being anti-aging, anti-acne, and against pigmentation on the skin. And we have, but it is poorly soluble, it is not stable, it tends to irritate the skin, and there are so many issues with this molecule. So what we did was we encapsulated it within a lipidic shell so as to improve its efficacy as well as manage its side effects. So that was the first technology. The second one was on antifungals. Again, systemic fungal infections are there, but at the same time we have superficial infections of the skin, and I think जो लोग suffer करते हैं, they would know that these infections, they tend to come back. So you manage them, you apply some agents, you take antifungals, you are cured of it, and then a few months pass and again it turns up. So those sort of problems are there with these. So again, here we've tried to use some antifungal agents, and again we tried to improve. But what happens is, because when you apply any this antifungal cream on the skin, it does not penetrate to the lower skin layers, and these fungal cells or infections, they are in the lower skin layers. So ऊपर से आपने उसको ठीक कर दिया, and then the cells, they start growing upwards, and those cells are infected, and again you get the infection. So what we've tried to develop is that we are able to penetrate up to the deeper layers, and the drug concentration, significant concentration is बहुत सारे ये जो agents हैं, ये fungi static word होता है कि वो fungus को grow करने से रोक देते हैं, लेकिन हमें क्या चाहिए, जो फंगल सेल्स को किल कर दे, फंगिसाइडल चाहिए, तो वो कंसंट्रेशन डिपेंडेंट है उनका रोल. सो यू हैव टू अचीव अ सर्टेन कंसंट्रेशन इन द विसिनिटी टू किल दोज सेल्स. सो दैट पार्ट वी ट्राइड टू एड्रेस हियर, and we developed some antifungal formulations, and we already got one. Me and the industry partner, we applied for a funding, and we got an Sabiri grant for it from BioRac. So we worked on it, and again now very recently the office of the PSA, they also advertised some such options, and again we applied, and we tentatively are bound to get that, and we have tied up with PGI for running the clinical trials and things like that for the product. So this was the second product. The third product is on probiotics. So we all now hear about them, and the friendly bacteria. And if you would look at the literature, very recently we had several Nature articles coming up where people are talking of the gut microbiome, and the thing is that on the skin and in our gut. So there is a saying where people are now saying कि हमारा जो ह्यूमन सिस्टम है उसमें the number of mammalian cells is much lesser than the number of bacteria which are residing in our body. So that way they say that these bacteria actually play a role in our immune system, or in the way we respond to allergies, and in the way, and now there is a saying gut brain axis. और हमारे पुरखे जो थे आयुर्वेदा में तो बात होती थी जटा रागिनी की पेट की आग. So all that, I think they were referring to these live bacteria. So what we try to do here is that there are products in the market where people are talking about the metabolites which these organisms produce, and then we try to develop them into formulations, especially the topical formulations. We have some washes available, some soaps available. So what we tried to do here was we actually took those viable bacteria and we produced a formulation where these bacteria would remain viable, but they would not grow in the formulation, because if they start growing in the formulation, they would foul the formulation. And at the same time, we wanted a formulation, we couldn't add any preservative into it from outside, because that would kill our bacteria, the live bacteria. So we prepared a formulation which is self-preservative and which would not allow the bacteria to multiply there, but as soon as we apply it on the skin, they would start germinating, they would grow, and they would change the I would say the microbiome, or the place where and around which they are. Because it is seen that a lot of skin infections are because of this destabilization of the inherent microbiome of the skin. And along with this, we also developed some vaginal suppositories with these probiotics, because candidiasis is a very common problem which the young women, they often face in their, so there is, I don't think there would be any woman which has at any one point of time not faced the problem of vaginal infections. So that technology is there. And the fourth technology is with curcumin. That is again very close to my heart. We all know of curcumin and the applications it offers, but at the same time we have very few products in the market, because again curcumin is a molecule which is poorly soluble, unstable, and things like that. So we've tried to improve its efficacy and bioavailability. It is referred to as a wonder drug because it has multiple applications. So we have again encapsulated it within सो हम लोग बात करते हैं हमेशा कि घी और दूध के साथ लेते थे ना, हल्दी हमारे यहाँ हमारे
जो,
so we've tried to actually translate that concept. And we have prepared these solid lipid nanoparticles, which is basically lipid, so something like ghee, and it is a colloidal formulation, something like milk. And we saw some very good results with it. So that is the fourth technology.
So they are wonderful technologies, ma'am, and I'll take some liberty to even ask you questions impromptu on the basis of what you answer.
That would be my
privilege. I was thinking like asking you, ma'am, like whenever you conceive some technology or some kind of research domain, so how do you think it of? Like you tend to solve some real world problem and then you think of technology, because eventually the commercialization depends upon the application in the real world.
True.
So when you think of some technology, what is there in your mind that you are solving some problem and then you have to commercialize it, or what? How does it go?
Yeah. So I have also tried now, maybe now retrospectively, I also try to evaluate that what is the driving force for it. So there are a few things, like there could be a situation where I have a known person who is suffering from, so I worked with tuberculosis. So that was a point when I had a very close friend and she developed cerebral tuberculosis and we started working on that. Then curcumin is something which like the folklore really fascinates me. And I feel that science, is two things. One is observations and one is rationale. So I feel our folklore is full of observational data, and what I or anyone for that matter is trying to do is give a scientific evidence for its efficacy. So that was the point, that was something where curcumin came into being. And then there are certain times where I am just going through literature and something catches my fancy, and I feel that could be a good area to work on. So the first technology which I talked about on tretinoin was in fact we were working on this technology as part of a tuberculosis project. And I saw that there are certain publications where people are talking that tuberculosis patients are invariably vitamin A and vitamin D deficient. So vitamin A is tretinoin. And what comes first, nobody knows. Is it that the people are deficient and they catch tuberculosis, or is it the other way around, that since they have tuberculosis they become deficient? So that is how I started working on vitamin A, tretinoin or tretinoic acid, and we filed a patent for this as a part of a DBT project. But then while I was discussing with some dermatologists and things like that, and we found it could have an application in acne to start with. And acne is again an issue which the younger population faces, and they really have a problem with their confidence and things like that. And we translated it here, but it could have a wider potential as well. So it is a mix of those things. Then I also started working initially with ocular delivery. I'm still working. So my husband is an ophthalmologist. So he initiated me into that. He actually gave me some clinical issues, and I thought, yes, that's a good idea to work with. So it's a mix of several things. It could be a social issue. It could be something where I was,
or maybe totally eureka experience when you are finding something.
There are several eureka experiences.
Okay, so my next question to you is related to the ecosystem in Punjab University. It's a very prestigious university, one of the oldest, ma'am, and ranks very high in Asian universities and globally also. So please tell us about the ecosystem in Punjab University for development of such technologies.
So as I referred to earlier also, I really feel elated, happy and proud that I belong to a university where people had a vision to, actually set up such a center at a time. So this center is, I don't know, maybe almost 15 to 18 years old, and we had the vision, though there could be some bureaucratic, hiccups which are always there, and especially in a government organization, we have a different type of limitations. But another thing which is very beautiful about Punjab University is that nobody stops you from working. Of course, people could only limit them because we are a teaching institute. Our major, responsibility is towards teaching. At the same time, we are evaluated for our research. So there could be people who are doing teaching and some research to just, you know, do that. But at the same time, if you want to do your research, nobody stops you. If you want to work in any XYZ area, nobody limits you. And it is not that you have to seek permission from your chairperson or from the vice chancellor or any other authority to work on. Nobody stops you from working. So there are times when you would feel that, why are you doing this? You know, you always get those questions.
Yes, yes.
And then there were times when I would feel, मेरे जितनी तनख्वाह दूसरों को मिलती है और मैं सुबह 8 बजे पहुंचती हूँ या 9 बजे पहुंचती हूँ और 6 साढ़े 6 जाती हूँ. So when I come in the morning, so our institute has very long timings. We used to start our classes at 8 earlier. Now we start at 9. So when we come in the morning, especially in the winters, you know, people are going for their morning walk. When I go back, people are walking their dogs at times. You know, you tend to get disillusioned at times. But then I thought, I found my peace that this is gratifying for me. This is what, you know, makes me kick. Like it tickles me. So that was one point. And the good thing about the university is that nobody stops you from working. And there are always, you know, limitations and issues. So I really feel that Punjab University has helped unfold my potential, explored my capabilities, and at the same time provided me a good forum to grow.
Yes, very true, ma'am. And that exactly is the reason why we see so many technologies sprouting and in the form of patents also.
So from a state university or from a department of a state university, technologies coming out, like UIPS is very proud to have almost 11 technologies transferred to the industry from UIPS. And I think we have 7 or 8 products already in the market. So that's a big number from a small department in a state university. But that is because of the, I think, ecosystem we have here.
It exists, and that is a wonderful ecosystem, ma'am. Ma'am, what about the idea of youngsters or your own students working on the technologies, your technologies, and creating startups? So what is your view on that?
So I feel very excited about it, but at the same time, I think I did try to, like, there were some students who actually showed an interest, but invariably क्या होता है कि by the time, you know, they complete their PhDs, either they are married or they have kids, so they have responsibilities and they want to settle in the profession because they're already, you know, 30 plus by that time. So I think that pressure is there, which tends to, though they have an interest, there were several who actually wanted to work on it, and but then at the same time they want to settle in life and have a, you know, a regular income. So I'm yet to strike that team, and maybe those were the times which are ahead of times. So now the government also has a great interest in startups, and they are supporting people. So maybe again with your good wishes, and let's throw this idea into the ether that very soon a few of my students, they have their own startup. So that would be very nice.
Okay. Yeah. Ma'am, new things are also popping up, like the very fact I'm sitting here and interacting with you as representative from YourPedia. The purpose of such interaction are many, but one of the purposes is to make people realize about the technology which our academia has, and maybe people in industries, they think of these ideas and they, you know, your technology is transferred to them and they start working on that. So I want to know your view on such initiative by third agencies like maybe YourPedia, where the ideas or technologies of academician is basically transferred to the industries. So what is your view on that, ma'am?
Yeah, in fact, it's a beautiful initiative by YourPedia, I would say. And my message to all the viewers is that I'm really open to have any such type of interactions, collaborations, mentoring for the students. If any one of you have any ideas, we can always, I'm open to any collaborations. We can work together in any form, whether, you know, I get the, I would say the credit for it or not. I would be happy to, you know, give direction to any youngster out there who has some idea and he wants to work on a technology, or she wants to work on a, I would rather say she here. So they want to work on any technologies, and I'm very open to any industrial collaborations if they have any interest, and we could always discuss. And yeah, so I think For any researcher, the ultimate dream is to see your product in the market, used by people. Both things. You want to earn money out of it also, because you work so hard for it. But beyond that, you want to actually, work for the patient. And that would be lovely.
That is very true. Ma'am, now I would like to discuss about some center of excellence which your university has related to this domain. And I want you to tell us about Center for Industrial Institute Partnership Program. We call it CIIPP, and Technology Enabling Center, we call it TEC. So please tell us about these two centers.
Yeah, so as I've already said, that CIIPP was set up at Punjab University well ahead of any neighboring universities, and even for that matter, even universities in Mumbai or where we think they are advanced cities. At that time, we did not have CIIPP, and Tech is a newer addition, I would say, though I think it is also more than 5 years old. And Dr. Manu is heading both the centers, and yes, they do play a role, but there can be improvements as well. So at times there is some hierarchy which tends to do some inhibitions. There are several industry, when I tell them that I have to route my projects through my university authorities, at times they are apprehensive, but I reassure them always that no, it would not in any way hinder our the process or be time consuming. So here I always even suggest to to our CIIPP directors also that there could be a red dot system or something which could be out of the bureaucracy, and so that we can fast track these things, because time is money, and at the same time there could also be ways where we could motivate people to approach CIIPP more and do projects through CIIPP, because that would be very nice, and that can develop a good culture. But at the same time, we have a very good culture in place, a very good system in place, both for Tech as well as the CIIPP.
Wonderful, ma'am. I'm sure the directors and people in these centers will listen to what you just said, and there is always scope of improvement. Ma'am, you have already transferred technologies, wonderful technologies, to the industries. There are so many young researchers, ma'am, in the premium institutes in India who have done wonderful work, but they're not very much aware about the transfer of the technology. So I want your view, because of your experience, about transfer of that technology. Any particular thing you want to tell them, or you want to give some advice?
So I feel consistency, persistence, courage, these are a few things. And one thing which I actually learned and realized some 5-7 years ago was that I need to step out of my comfort zone. Interact with people, collaborate, talk to people.
That is the most important.
Try and sell myself, because unless people know about you, your technology, and for technology transfer, one key thing which I've learned is the trust. So you have to build that trust factor with the industry. They should have the confidence that you would deliver. For that, you need to have confidence in yourself. You should be very sure on the research, on the work you did, that it would be reproduced, that I can help scale it up. For that, integrity of science would be a very, very important factor, which should be, which should be realized by everyone. So whenever I have my students coming in, I just tell them two things. One is integrity in science. Please do not play with your data. And I always tell them कि अगर हमारे results सही नहीं आएंगे, we will sit down, we will discuss, we will see how we can improve our methodology, modify our experiments, try and see if the results are reproducible or not. And even if we do not get the results we were expecting, then we would try and look at the answers. So that is a very important message which must go from a mentor to a student, so that they are encouraged to bring the data as it is. Documentation would be another thing which would be very, very important. And I think, yes, I would say stepping out of your comfort zone and courage. would be two things which would be very important. So this is my message to all of them.
Wonderful. Ma'am, there are many technologies which we see lying in our wonderful academic labs, but these technologies are never transferred to the industries. So I want your idea from you in rather a concrete plan, if you can share with us, for their commercialization and transfer.
I think what I've earlier said, I would reiterate those things, and then I would say try again. Keep like discourage नहीं होना है मुझे. ये एक optimism का streak मुझे रखना पड़ेगा, और दूसरा मैं बहुत बार कहती हूँ कि डर के आगे जीत. So we have to overcome our fears. Those could be fears of interacting with people, those could be fears of communicating, those could be fears of having that confidence कि मेरा data सही है कि नहीं है. And एक partnership, मुझे मेरा मतलब कि I think this message has to be clear that academia and industry are on the same side. जब तक ये बात नहीं होगी, जब तक हम ये कहते रहेंगे academia industry को दोष देता रहेगा, and industry जो है would keep saying academia ऐसा नहीं deliver करता. So somewhere there has to be a change in our mindsets that we are partners. And industry has to appreciate कि academia के पास जो experience है वो उनके पास नहीं है, and academia has to realize कि मुझे अपना dream true करने के लिए I need an industry partner. So once we have that, and होता क्या है कि we sit in our own niches. I'm talking about the academicians and the researchers. So I was also like that. I actually had to come out of that. And we feel very proud about what we are doing. We are gratified with the publications we are producing. And we feel मैं अपने lab में राजा हूँ, मुझे क्या जरूरत है किसी को approach करने की, है ना? और वो शायद हम कुएं के मेंढक बन जाते हैं. So वो हमें बाहर निकल के, अगर मैं चाहती हूँ कि मेरी टेक्नोलॉजी बाहर पहुंचे, तो मुझे वहां से निकल के लोगों को दिखाना तो पड़ेगा, बताना तो पड़ेगा ना. तो उसमें कई बारी तुम्हें लगता है कि at times we are egocentric also, मुझे लगता है कि मैं क्यों किसी को अप्रोच करूं.
Very true.
तो but I think अगर हम इन टोटलिटी में देखें या सोसाइटी के लिए सोचें, तो फिर मुझे लगता है कि टैक्स पेयर्स मनी हम बर्बाद कर रहे हैं. अगर मैं ऐसी रिसर्च कर रही हूँ या मेरी रिसर्च जो है वो अप्लाई नहीं हो पा रही है, तो वो एक वेस्टेज है. हाँ, सो मेरा मतलब कि वो एक मेरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी भी बनती है कि मैं उसको कोशिश करूँ.
Ma'am, my next question, I am finding it very interesting. Ma'am, you mentioned about coming out of your comfort zone. And we have always seen female professors, academicians, we have seen that. But female going to industries and, finding the solutions for industries is not that common. So you have transferred the technologies. I would like to ask you, ma'am, how frequently you visit the industries and how difficult, because we can see your successes now, 30 patents, 10 granted, so many technologies. These are successes. I'm very sure, ma'am, there have been so many failures and frustrations also.
True, very true.
So I would like you to tell us in totality how, as female professor, your journey has been to go to industries and coming out of your comfort zone, and how frequently you have done that.
हाँ, बहुत frequently नहीं मैं गई इंडस्ट्री के पास, मतलब इंडस्ट्री विजिट करने के लिए उतना ज्यादा नहीं गई, बट उसको कवर करने के लिए शायद I have been writing to people a lot.
Okay.
So this was also during the journey. I realized, though I seem very confident and very interactive, but at the same time I am a shy person basically. Okay. So मुझे किसी के साथ अगर ग्रुप में डाल दिया जाए तो मैं सिर्फ एक किसी comfortable person को I'll find and I'll start interacting with that person. अगर मैं शुरू करती हूँ interactions, then I'm good at it. But I am unable to, take the first step. So this I realized. Then, what I found was I'm good at writing. I can communicate better while writing. So then, whenever I had some technologies and some ideas, I would try and look up people in the, business space who are working in that area. I would write to them, I would interact with them. There have been several failures, there were several, you know, interactions towards the start. जब मैं भी learn कर रही थी, I would share so much without an NDA, without a CTA. Then I found कि मुझे लगा कि हाँ, I lost out on because I shared everything, so why would they come to me? So those were olden times, 15 साल पहले, 20 साल पहले. ऐसा मैंने learn किया कि नहीं, मुझे CDA करना है पहले, before I, you know, divulge in the informations. And but at the same time, you know, every interaction made me learn. Every interaction helped me take another step. There were baby steps to start with. लेकिन आहिस्ता आहिस्ता फिर मेरा भी कॉन्फिडेंस बनता गया, शायद लोगों का कॉन्फिडेंस भी मेरे में बनता गया. So there is a difference between the lip and the cup always. So there were several discussions जहाँ पे मुझे लगा बस अब हो ही जाएगा, and it didn't happen. So but again I would say कि मैं एक स्टोरी बहुत, जो किंग रॉबर्ट ब्रूस थे, उनकी स्टोरी हम लोग बचपन में पढ़ते थे, स्पाइडर वाली. या so try again is a message. इसीलिए so होती है discouragement 2 दिन 4 दिन के लिए, I try and come out of it and start again. So I think that's my mantra. I never let it go. And startups के लिए तो कहते हैं it is the startup is evaluated by the number of failures it had. So मैंने अब वही सोचना शुरू कर दिया कि okay, so every failure, Einstein said 700 बार ये मेरा गलत हुआ, so I know ये 700 बार ही नहीं, इन 700 तरीकों से ये नहीं हो सकता. So I think you learn from your failures. And yes, being a woman is another challenge. Where, you know, but at the same time, belonging to Punjab University. So I would say one very beautiful thing about Punjab University, या जब मैं अपनी blessings गिनती हूँ, there are phases when you are disillusioned, है ना. कई बारी तुम्हें लगता है कि वर्कर और नॉन वर्कर में कोई डिफरेंशिएट नहीं किया जा रहा सरकारी सेटअप में. यू ऑलवेज से गधे घोड़े बराबर हैं, क्या फायदा करने का, या नो इंसेंटिव्स. इफ यू हैव 10 projects, 20 projects, or you are earning this much, so same salary and no motivation, no initiative. तो उसमें, लेकिन it is a very safe working place. Where women are respected. You are never harassed for your you know, gender. So and belonging to Chandigarh again gave me confidence. Then my parents, मेरा एक भाई था, we lost him some years ago. तो मुझे हमेशा ऐसा लगा कि मेरे पेरेंट्स ने कभी भी मेरे साथ डिफरेंशिएट नहीं किया being a girl child, लेकिन शायद मुझे ज्यादा उन्होंने उत्साह दिया. So I owe it to my parents also. Similarly, my husband was there, and he would always, you know, push me. I was not very ambitious. मेरी बहुत सारी aspirations नहीं थी प्रोफेशन को लेके, लेकिन उन्होंने भी मुझे हमेशा प्रोत्साहित किया कि नहीं, you have to be a professional. And and this department, I would owe everything to this department and to my senior teachers, colleagues. एक बड़ा रिच हेरिटेज था इस डिपार्टमेंट का, जहाँ पे बड़ा अच्छा वर्क कल्चर था हमारे यहाँ, जहाँ पे हमें यही सिखाया गया कि काम करना है. So I think everything combined together. And there are times when you feel कि हाँ, being a woman, you are taken as a threat by people. कई बारी मुझे ये लगा, मैं कई बारी अपने स्टूडेंट्स के साथ या अपने घर में भी शेयर करती हूँ कि मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मैं डरा देती हूँ लोगों को या भगा देती हूँ कई बारी. Probably I'm too, you know, aggressive when it comes to my thoughts, and I'm too passionate, which really, you know, scares people away. But at the overall, I would say कि बहुत अच्छा experience रहा मेरा life से और जिंदगी से. You have your, you know, tough times and phases, but overall
it was so that means, ma'am, very polite speaking or very shy kind of female researchers, they can also do wonders. So,
yes, definitely.
So industry is not a place where they cannot explore.
Of course.
They can.
So because पता क्या है, तुम्हारा जो कॉन्फिडेंस है वो कहाँ से आता है? तुम्हारे हार्ड वर्क से, तुम्हारी नॉलेज से. So that I think transfers to the person you are interacting with. When they interact with you, they realize that they are talking to a competent person. So इसलिए मैं भी जब किसी से इंटरेक्ट करती हूँ, मैं शायद ये ध्यान नहीं होता मुझे कि मैं वुमेन हूँ, तो वो मुझे अपना इक्वल नहीं मान रहा। सो जब मैं अपने आप को उनका इक्वल मान के चलती हूँ तो मुझे लगता है फिर मुझे वो इक्वालिटी मिलती है। एंड मैं क्यों इक्वल मान के चलती हूँ, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि नहीं, मेरे में भी उतनी ही कॉम्पिटेंसी है जितनी मेरी एक मेल काउंटर पार्ट में है। एंड एट टाइम्स आई फील आई हैव वर्कड हार्डर than my male counterparts, because again you know that social वो था हमेशा से, like when I think we belong to an era when we had lesser women professionals, and if I could say it for several people of my generation, my colleagues who are my who belong to my age group, लेकिन मैं अपने लिए जरूर कहूंगी कि मुझे ये बहुत प्रेशर था कि मैंने कोई एडवांटेज या कोई कॉम्प्रोमाइज या कोई किसी से ये वो नहीं मांगना कि तुम लेडी हो या वुमेन हो तो मुझे ये दे दो। तो जब मैं नौकरी करने के लिए निकली हूँ, जब मैं प्रोफेशनल हूँ, तो मेरी ड्यूटीज भी उतनी ही बनती हैं। सो आई वुड नॉट वांट एनी I would say any special treatment because I'm a woman. So since I did not ask for that, so I always was sure that I'm an equal person.
Very true. Wonderful, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. So my next question is related to the research scenario existing in India. I want to bring to your notice, ma'am, how it goes. You are already aware. First of all, we observe that what situation exists presently is, and that is existing for decades in institutes of higher education in India. That is when research scholar takes admission in a PhD program. Normally, his supervisor asks him to scan through international journals and find the research gaps. Research scholar invests 1 year to 1.5 years on this particular task, and then locate certain gaps in the area which he thinks are the gaps. Thereafter, research scholar invests next 3-4 years to hit in the gaps identified by him, and issues with this particular situation, this process is that research scholar may end up investing entire his energy and entire his effort during his PhD program on solving some trivial gap, and may work on a problem that actually is not the real issue that is existing in the society, but he is solving somebody else's problem. Now, Professor Kaur, I would like to know your critical thoughts on this particular scenario, which is existing for decades in our academic institutes.
True. So, usme, what I have to say, which I have been telling at several forums in the university also, is that in addition to going in for a literature survey, we have to educate our students to go in for a patent search as well. सबसे पहले तो. So because there are several, you know, inventions, for that matter, research which is filed in a patent and is not published, especially the things which are done by the industry. So that would help us identify a research gap which is actually a public domain gap. Because patent bhi to usme aa jayega. Another way in it could be where we can partner with the industry from the very start and start working in a way where the industry would want us to. Because what happens, what I observed was during some of my technology transfers discussions with industry, they would say ye nahi kiya aapne, ये डेटा है आपके पास. So at that time when the student has already put in 5 or 6 years, after that you file a patent application, you then you start looking for industry partners, and at that time when the student has either finished or is at the fag end of his work, he would not want to invest more time or energy into you know trying to generate more data, or the student has already left and it is very difficult to generate that data. So it would be very good and nice if the researcher can already identify an industry partner and start that way. But the reality is away from this ideal situation. At times, industry does not want to commit. At times, the industry does not want to, you know, share what they actually want to do, because there are confidentiality issues, there are competitiveness issues and things like that. And But still, there are situations where we can try and do that. Then I see several government organizations like BARAC. They are trying to bring that, industry academia collaboration, where as far as the commitment part is concerned, there is like for these projects, it is said that industry would be given the first right to take up the technology, but they do not have to commit that they have to take up the technology. So what initially was thought and what actually came out as a product. So industry can see if they are interested, take it up. Otherwise, we'll open it to the other industry. So I don't know. Would this happen? And can it always happen? But this would be an ideal situation, And then another for pharma, we can also, and which we already do, and we can still add on is talk to the clinician also. What are the gaps they are facing? Because the end user ultimately is the patient and the physician.
Very true.
So I whenever I write a project, and if somebody asks me who's the end user, so I often say physician, because physician is going to prescribe it, So physician क्या सोचता है उसके बारे में, उस टेक्नोलॉजी के बारे में, या physician को क्या feel होता है कि existing technology में क्या limitations है. So that can also be our starting point rather than only the literature survey. So a patent search, talking to the physician and trying to, collaborate or partner with the industry at the very start.
Very true.
So that would be a good, solution to this.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So as per you, ma'am, instead of research papers only, though that also has its own role to play, patentable research and need of the industry is a better route to identify the gaps and work on those.
Definitely.
So that
so we must do the patent search, which I already do in my lab, and I think several people must already be doing, but we can also try and educate people to do that. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am, my next point is related to the feeling which industry has about academia. So we always want to bring both together. And you a couple of minutes back, you were talking about the collaboration between the two and change in the mindset. But still we know that there is a feeling in industry that academia takes too much time to solve a problem and does not adhere to the timelines. And to what extent that is true, I want to know from you, ma'am. And also that they also believe that academia errors in calculating the man hours required to complete a project and therefore commits unrealistically a very challenging timeline that are tough to adhere to.
True. मैं भी अपने आप को assess कर रही थी, तो I realized not to the industry, but overall I think I'm a personality which tends to overcommit at times. So maybe if the industry feels so that academicians overcommit, that could be true. Because our primary duty, as I said earlier, also is teaching. So several of our active workers go in teaching. So at times we expect कि हम इतने दिन में कर लेंगे, लेकिन उतना हो नहीं पाता. Then at the same time, I would also, although I said earlier that we are on the same side, the academicians and the industry, but कई बार industry को भी इन्वेस्ट करने में एकेडमिक्स में बड़ी दिक्कत होती है, they don't want to support us. तो अगर मेरा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर वो बनाएंगे तो मैं डेफिनेटली उसको जल्दी डिलीवर कर पाऊंगी, लेकिन ना अगर वो मुझे मैन पावर भी नहीं देंगे और मेरा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर वो कॉम्प्लीमेंट या सप्लीमेंट नहीं करना चाहेंगे, तो फिर मैं कैसे उनको आउटपुट उतनी तेजी से या उतनी दे पाऊंगी. क्या होता है, I have assumed कि मेरा काम इतनी देर में हो जाएगा, and suddenly the equipment goes bad, downtime आ गया ना मेरे पास, तो फिर मुझे as a researcher I have to generate those funds. I've been very lucky in some of my industry partners where I contacted them and they said, ma'am बताओ कितना पैसा चाहिए. They helped me in repairing that equipment. So if the industry also thinks of it as an investment which would have a return in terms of time or in terms of the product, then I think we can overcome that time. And then as I said, there are certain bureaucratic hassles also at times, where we are unable to meet the timeline. So in those cases also, now there are industry which say कि हम directly आपको supply करेंगे सामान. So you don't have to go into that bureaucratic hassle of procuring things. When we have to procure through a channel in the university, then naturally it goes step by step. So if the industry can provide what I need from their end, then that also saves time, and I can try and deliver it in time. So I think it is both ways. But yes, as an academician, we need to be more practical, evaluate ourselves critically, but that also comes with experience, I think. और बड़ी बारी ये भी होता है, we are pushed by the industry. वो कहते हैं मुझे तो 6 महीने में ही चाहिए. मैं उनको कह रही हूँ कि नहीं, अभी साल 1.5 साल लगेगा मुझे, लेकिन वो कहते हैं मुझे 6 महीने में ही चाहिए. तो फिर मुझे भी लालच आ जाता है कि I don't want this opportunity to slip out of my hands, you know. Then I say, okay, we'll try and do it.
So that is also one of the main factor.
So I think it is both ways. But yes, if the industry feels so and rightly feels so, then we also need to see how we can do.
Ma'am, this industry academia interaction and collaboration, it is a successful experiment in many countries. So when we say that these are the problems, are they India specific, ma'am, or what do you think? Are they global issues, or I mean there similar things exist other places also where they are successful experiment, or only related to Indian ecosystem?
It could be to other ecosystems also, but India में थोड़ा ज़्यादा है because Indian industry जो है, मुझे लगता है, I should not say, I don't want to portray them in bad light. I think we are at a transition phase where we are evolving, and maybe we can have each other's trust more. But I think इंडस्ट्री को ज्यादा विश्वास होगा अगर वो कोई बाहर का एकेडमिक इंस्टीट्यूट है उस पे, यू नो, और rather than an academic institute from within India. And हो सकता है उनका कई बार सच भी हुआ. I would not say that वो हमेशा बेबुनियाद ही है. It could have its reasons.
Another factor also is like in India, academic institutes are also evolving. I mean, they're also creating infrastructure facilities, research facilities.
And they are also stepping out of their comfort zone. They are also realizing that, you know, I need industrial. जैसे क्या हो गया अभी, you know, research grants limited होगी या competition ज़्यादा हो गया. So it would be a good opportunity if I can go out, meet industry and tell them to sponsor. I'm already interacting with several startups where people are, I'm trying to, you know, collate with them at the very, as I said, at a very initial step. And they are also open to invest into the academic institute. They are ready to, you know, provide the manpower, support the fellowships for the students and things like that. So I think, yes, we are growing, we are evolving, we must give ourselves time, we should be patient, and we should have trust in each other, and let's experiment, experience, and then conclude. So let us not conclude prematurely from both the sides.
That's true. Ma'am, another point which is related to this ecosystem only, that is, that input is from academia, that industries want to maintain secrecy about the projects that they do with academia, and at the very outset, non-disclosure agreement, which we call NDA, is signed, and during course of the project, industry hesitates in allowing academic partner to publish the finding of the project. This dampens the enthusiasm of academic partner. So what is your opinion on this particular?
So I think हम लोग बहुत ज़्यादा publish and flourish में believe करते हैं as academicians, as researchers. जैसा कि मैंने बोला, because मेरी evaluation भी तो मेरी publication से हो रही है ना. I think जब ये GAT शुरू हुआ, that was the time when I joined as a faculty, 95-96 में. So there were several faculty development programs in which we had sessions on IP also, and we were given a slogan, publish and perish. Patent and flourish. So I really took that to my heart. So when I was trying to evaluate that what is the reason that I have a significant number of patents granted and published and things like that. So probably it stuck with me somewhere, and I really wanted to, you know, I kept on sitting on my data for 3 to 4 years, where I was trying to figure out how to, you know, patent it. I didn't know any agency. I didn't know the route how to do it. I approached several people. I didn't have the funds to, you know, and there were no systems laid down in the university, or we didn't have a more developed CIIPP where they would fund us. So that it was a difficult time. But at the same time, अगर अब एकेडेमिया में पेटेंट्स भी अप्रिशिएट होने लग पड़े हैं. सो अगर पब्लिश नहीं कर पा रहे और पेटेंट फाइल किया है, दैट आल्सो कैन गिव यू अ क्रेडिट. एंड इफ यू हैव नॉट पब्लिश्ड एंड पेटेंटेड, सो मेरा मतलब कि एक वही प्रोजेक्ट तो नहीं है जिसमें से पब्लिकेशंस लेनी है. पब्लिकेशंस के लिए आई कैन वर्क सेपरेटली. आई कैन डू सम बेसिक और अप्लाइड रिसर्च व्हिच कुड बी पब्लिकेशन ओरिएंटेड, बट आई मस्ट रियलाइज दैट इंडस्ट्री के साथ ये लिमिटेशन है शायद पब्लिकेशन की, बट उसमें जो ग्रेटिफिकेशन मुझे प्रोडक्ट की फॉर्म में मिल रही है, या जो ग्रेटिफिकेशन मुझे सोसाइटी को कुछ रिटर्न करके मिल रही है, वो आई थिंक इरिप्लेसेबल है, नॉट इन टर्म्स ऑफ पब्लिकेशन. अभी रिसेंटली देयर हैज बीन सम कंसर्न्स रेज्ड एंड देयर वाज अ नेचर पब्लिकेशन वेयर दे आर सेइंग कि बहुत जल्दी इमेच्योर पब्लिकेशंस करने की, क्योंकि प्रेशर आ गया ना पब्लिकेशंस करने का, तो इमेच्योर पब्लिकेशंस हो रही हैं अब, बिकॉज पीपल आर ट्राइंग टू चर्न आउट a lab is trying to produce more than 50 publications in a year, or for that matter more than 20 publications in a year. So they are not as matured publications as they could be. So I think we need to focus more on research and try and stop that bhagadori in publications. So it could be at the level of the personal level पे, evaluation के level पे, agencies के level पे, UGC के level पे. So we need to look at that mindset also.
Okay, so you have already answered, ma'am, my next two questions, and that was related to over emphasis of academia on publication. You rightly said that focus on publication also. At the same time, you can handle some of the projects where you are not enticed by publications only.
Bilkul.
Just do the project for the industries.
File a patent and get the credit for that as well. Yeah.
Yes. Ma'am, my next question is related to World Intellectual Property Organization. We call it WIPO. According to WIPO in 2018, number of the patents application filed in top 20 patent offices globally, and here the data is for China, America, India. So China leads, that is 15 lakh, 15, then followed by US, ma'am, that is 5 lakh, and then India, that is 50,000. I would like you to answer on this, ma'am, that what do you think are the reasons for so less patent which are filed in India, and what can be done for this?
Yeah, so this is a very relevant question, but as you said, this is a 2018 data. So when I went to receive my award for this National IP Award and the WIPO medal,
right, ma'am.
So the data the patent office shared there, and they showed that there has been an exponential increase in the number of patents which are being filed. Though 50,000 is a very small number, we all agree, is 15 lakh or 12 lakh, but probably it is improving. It is an initiative of the government also, Atmanirbhar India, Make in India, वो भी शायद motivate कर रहा है लोगों को, and overall awareness भी motivate कर रही है, and शायद हम इंडिया में more or less followers बन गए हैं. We look to the developed nations for innovations and inventiveness, and we try to just copy that. But then China is also not so developed nation, like it has we could say it has been moving parallelly. So it has overcome that issue, it seems. चाइना में जो मुझे लगता है, मैं आई हैव नेवर विजिटेड चाइना, या मैंने जो सुना है लोगों से, उनकी जो पॉपुलेशन या जनरल लोगों में जो है ना, आप बताओ क्या करना है, हम बनाएंगे. सो आई थिंक दैट अप्रोच जो है वो उनको इनोवेटिवनेस के लिए ज्यादा करती है. हमारे यहाँ वी ऑलवेज टॉक ऑफ द डिफिकल्टीज, द प्रॉब्लम्स, है ना, और मेरी तरफ से क्या इनिशिएटिव होना चाहिए उसकी बात हम कम करते हैं. सो अगेन वही है कि शायद हमें अपने कंफर्ट जोन से निकलना पड़ेगा, हमें ग्लोबल लेवल पे सोचना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि अब ग्लोबलाइजेशन बड़ी तेजी से हो गई है. सो मुझे वंचित नहीं रहना, और मुझे सिर्फ इंडिया के पर्सपेक्टिव से सोच के अपने आप को लिमिट नहीं करना. सो लेट मी ट्राई एंड ग्रो आउट ऑफ दैट कल्चर एंड ट्राई एंड डू. एंड अगर मैं फार्मा सेक्टर की बात करूं तो फार्मा इंडस्ट्री भी हमारे यहाँ पे अभी ग्रो कर रही है इंडिया में. वी हैव वेरी लिटिल R&D. People are usually working on generics and trying to reproduce the generics when they go off patent. So the stress is actually not on inventiveness and patenting. So I think yes, with the newer government initiatives, with the general awareness of researchers, things should improve, would improve
Okay, that's a very rosy thing which you have presented, ma'am, and I hope this goes and it is going on, because truly this data is 2018. So you have provided us the new trend that is encouraging trend, ma'am.
Yes, they say there is a several percent increase in the numbers of patents which have been filed.
That is what we deserve.
And I think the patent office has also, sped up the grant. So मेरे जो शुरू के patents जो मैंने file करे थे, it took me almost 10 years, more than 10 years for them to be granted.
Okay.
So though they are published within 2 years, but for actual grant, it takes 10 to 10 years. But I see a newer trend now for my younger colleagues also, where the patent has been granted within 2 years of filing.
Okay, wonderful.
So I think patent office is also trying to, figure it out and look at it, that how to do it.
Wonderful. Ma'am, and next point was related to MSMEs. So MSMEs of our country are seldom having their R&D departments, and that is understood. They don't have that resource for this. Still, MSMEs prefer to buy patented technologies from abroad rather than from indigenous and approaching our own academia. So what should be done to correct this?
I don't know, हमेशा ये फॉरेन से आया है, ये बहुत एनामर करता है ना, शायद हमारे कहीं ना कहीं बहुत अंदर तक ये बात गई हुई है कि जो बाहर से प्रोक्योर की गई है चीज वो ज्यादा रिलायबल है, वो ज्यादा कुछ बातों में अच्छी है भी है, लाइक प्रोबेबली द क्वालिटी व्हिच इज डिलीवर्ड ऑफ आइटम्स व्हिच आर मैन्युफैक्चर्ड आउटसाइड और प्रिपेयर्ड आउटसाइड, सो दैट कुड बी द, आई थिंक कहीं इनग्रेन्ड है हमारे डीपर माइंड्स में. बट दिस इज माय मैसेज टू MEs there out there, or any startups or younger generation which is trying. So I think they should give an opportunity to Indian organizations, to academicians, experience and then reject. जैसे मैं अपने बच्चों को बहुत बारी कहती होती थी, वो कहते मुझे ये नहीं कहना, मैं कहती थी टेस्ट करके रिजेक्ट कर दो. You try and then you say no to it, na, without even trying. So that is my message to all the industries, the MSMEs out over there, that at least try and do not decide on one or two experiences. Make your experiences wider, and then let's see.
So you should try and then only you should decide. Ma'am, having patent is one part, but commercialization of that is another story. So we look at the number of patents that eventually get commercialized are really very, very less, very low. So what do you think are the reasons behind low commercialization ratio of the patents, ma'am?
I don't... मुझे लगता है कि सिंस फाइल भी कम हो रहे हैं, सो बिकॉज इट इज ऑलवेज अ प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ व्हाट वुड इवेंचुअली ट्रांसलेट टू द इंडस्ट्री, या and then as we talked about the partnership, the trust, probably that mindset is lacking, and probably वो partnership शुरू से नहीं होती है, इसलिए भी maybe मुझे जो लगता है कि वो पेटेंटेबल है, और वो पेटेंटेबल भी होता है, लेकिन वो या तो सोसाइटी की नीड नहीं है या इंडस्ट्री, मतलब जो मुझे लगता है कि मैंने भी ओवर द इयर्स डेवलप किया कि हम रिसर्चर्स जो है ना, हम एक अपने ड्रीम वर्ल्ड में एग्जिस्ट करते हैं, एंड यू वुड ऑलवेज सी दैट द रिसर्च इज मेड मोर कॉम्प्लेक्स, है ना, जितनी कॉम्प्लेक्स है हमें लगता है उतनी अच्छी है, बट हमें ये माइंड में रख के चलना है कि मुझे ये टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर करनी है इंडस्ट्री को, तो इंडस्ट्री के पास क्या इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एग्जिस्ट करता है, उसी एग्जिस्टिंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में अगर वो स्केल अप हो सकेगी टेक्नोलॉजी, देन ओनली द इंडस्ट्री वुड वांट टू टेक इट, बिकॉज इंडस्ट्री वुड नॉट वांट टू इन्वेस्ट एट द वेरी इनिशियल स्टेज इनटू अ टेक्नोलॉजी व्हिच मे और मे नॉट टेक अप. उसकी किक स्टार्ट होती है कि नहीं होती, they are not sure.
So they will not take that much of risk.
Yeah, so they would not take that risk. So I feel, and this is my message to the researchers, the young researchers out over there, try and make it as simple as you can. बड़ी simple answers होते हैं questions के, हम उसको complicate ना बनाएं unnecessarily. तो simple अगर हम रखेंगे अपनी research को, अपनी science को, और ये ध्यान रखेंगे कि इंडस्ट्री के पास क्या expertise, क्या इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्ट कर रहा है, जिसके बेसिस पे ही मेरी टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर हो जाए, तो शायद ज्यादा चांसेस होंगे.
वंडरफुल मैम. अनदर थिंग इज रिलेटेड टू द क्राइटेरिया that I should patent my research. So how do you think one should decide that particular innovation or particular creativity or research should be patented or not, or should it be only published in some kind of journal?
मुझे लगता है हर इनोवेशन को हमें एक चांस देना चाहिए पेटेंट करने का.
Okay, but then it can be costly affair.
You can always file a provisional patent.
Okay.
And immediately publish it.
Okay.
Yes, it is a costly affair. वो तो हमें assess करना ही पड़ेगा. मतलब the criteria should then be, as you say, I think you rightly pointed out, is क्या ये टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर हो पाएगी. अगर मुझे लगता है कि ये टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर हो सकती है तो फिर मुझे पेटेंट जरूर फाइल करना चाहिए, है ना. और आगे आगे थोड़ा आसान भी हो रहा है with the type of agencies which are coming up to support the patent filing.
Okay.
So और इंडिया में तो जरूर ही हो सकता है. इंडिया में तो बहुत सस्ता कर दिया अभी उन्होंने इंडिविजुअल्स के लिए, तो इट इज रियली बिकम वेरी वेरी चीप. ऑफ कोर्स जब तुम एजेंसीज को अप्रोच करते हो, स्पेशली द फार्मा इंडस्ट्री, दे लुक एट इट कि तुम्हारे ग्लोबल पेटेंट्स हैं कि नहीं है, बिकॉज आफ्टर ऑल दे आर गोइंग टू मार्केट इट इन द ग्लोब. बट एटलीस्ट मतलब इंडिया में फाइल कर लो और फिर तुम्हारे पास साल 2 साल का टाइम है टू फाइल इट इन द ग्लोबल मार्केट. एंड इन दैट टाइम इफ यू कैन फाइंड अ पार्टनर और अ बायर फॉर योर टेक्नोलॉजी, देन इट इज द विन-विन सिचुएशन.
My next point was related to the cost associated with patenting only, ma'am. And as of now, it looks like it is a costly affair. Technology Information Forecasting and Assessment Council, that is TIFAC, gives financial support in patenting. Process through TIFAC is time consuming. Some people own personal pocket or they have their personal finance. Some have their industrial partner. When do you think an academician should do patenting through TIFAC and when through a private patent agent?
So I would say these are personal choices.
Okay.
TIFAC may be time consuming, लेकिन उसमें I think we can be smart workers. Like we think of an idea and we immediately send the information to TIFAC for evaluation.
Okay.
Whether it is patentable or not.
Okay.
And in the meantime, we can start generating our data. So that saves you time. So once you complete the entire thing, 4 साल लगा के 5 साल के बाद अगर TIFAC को मैं approach करूंगी, तो naturally I'm not ready to wait for another 6 months for the data to come. So beyond TIFAC, there is an agency which has really helped me, is National Research Development Corporation, NRDC, which is a part of DST. And also the DSIR, Department of Science and Industrial Research. So I have majorly filed recent जितने भी मैंने फाइल करे हैं पिछले 5-6 साल में is to NRDC. So they have so this is for everyone to know. So they have a format on their website which you can download, and they ask you how do you think it is novel. They have some set questions on it, and you also give an information about the background of your information, the prior art, whatever you can you know, look up, and you send it to them. The soft copy, most of the time soft copy, and maybe the hard copy also. So they have a separate cell to evaluate it. So once they think they have their own committee.
Okay.
So they evaluate it, and if they think it is worthwhile, many a times they would either call you or ask for an online presentation to defend it. And if they think it is okay, so they immediately, you know, assign, they have a panel of patent attorneys. They assign a patent attorney to you. They approve the funding. So as far as the industrial Indian patent application is concerned, they don't fund you for any global patents, but the Indian patenting they do. And then they also have cells where they help you to transfer your technology.
Okay.
Though I didn't transfer my technologies through that cell, but patenting has always been, has several times been, I would say, 60% of my patent applications were funded through NRDC for Indian patents. And it has been really wonderful, and I have interacted with several of the patent attorneys picked up by them, and all of them I have had a good experience with them. But at the same time, initially I did private patent agents also. So I think if you have funds, if it can be supported, and if you are already late and you are pushed up to publish, because the student has to submit their thesis and things like that, then maybe you can go to because naturally this entire process is going to take from 2 to 6 months, depending upon whether the NRDC or TIFEC have their immediate meeting soon, where they would evaluate your technology, or it might take a month or two before they evaluate it. So yes, that limitation is there, but I think you can take a personal call.
Wonderful. So ma'am, I would like to take your views on another perspective. And what do you think, will it be a good idea if a faculty member of an institute, premium institute like Punjab University, become patent agent after clearing the exam? There is a patent agent exam, and become patent agent so that they can do patenting for their fellow colleagues and students?
I personally feel no, not a good idea.
Okay.
Because जिसका जो expertise है,
उसको वही
अगर वही
करना,
करेगा तो
right,
better रहेगा, I think.
No deviation.
Yeah. So because academician जो है वो skill set acquire कर रहा है बाहर से. He has to do his teaching, he or she, all those other activities which is asked to do by the university, and then in whatever time slot he has, he would try and do that. So maybe first he would try and prioritize it for himself or herself, and then only can they offer the services to other people. So I think जिसका काम उसी को साजे. So I think it is better to, so while collaborating, so that happens many times. We try to acquire all the skill sets, एक publication को complete करने के लिए, एक study को complete करने के लिए, but मुझे लगा कि वो बहुत waste of energy and resources है. If you have a professional out there, it is better to approach that professional and get the services rather than waste time and energy on trying to acquire a skill set which is not inherent to me, and which I do not have this, because there are a lot many more things. They have a team. There could be people who are specializing in pharma sector and life sciences sector, in engineering sector. So they would assign your patent application to that person. So I think that is better.
Wonderful, ma'am. So ma'am, let's imagine a research scholar that works on a problem for 3-4 years and files a patent, and subsequently starts his own venture, startup company around his patent. What is your view on this?
Perfect.
Okay, that is the ideal state.
Yeah, so that would be very nice and lovely, exciting for the student as well as the mentor. I think that's the perfect situation. Yeah, there is no alternative to that. Yeah, because the type of passion you feel for your work, it is my baby wali feeling jo hai, and the confidence you have in the work which you've done, that cannot be replaced by any other person. So we started this entire interaction on that line only, ma'am, and you said that now the ecosystem is evolving, something like where professors like you can think of having their own startups, and we see, ma'am, Silicon Valley's creation of California Institute of Technology kind of things, California sector, Boston sector, because उनके पास MIT, Harvard है. So वो दो ecosystems तो बहुत ही जबरदस्त ecosystems हैं. We should try and emulate those ecosystems here.
So how bullish are we, ma'am? Can we create something like that in India or maybe in Punjab University?
हाँ, मैं कहूँगी जरूर. Like I don't want to like future holds promise always. I am a born optimist. मुझे हमेशा लगता है कि हाँ, optimism तो छोड़ना ही नहीं है कभी भी. So I think
So what kind of ecosystem is required for that, ma'am? Let's take example of your own department in Punjab University. So what kind of system is required for that?
I think सबसे पहले एक positive attitude है ना, कि positive attitude of everyone. जैसे मैं अगर चेयरपर्सन हूँ तो एज अ चेयरपर्सन फैसिलिटेट करना, मतलब जो लोग लीडरशिप की पोजीशन में हैं उनको ये रियलाइज करना कि हमें ये सब फैसिलिटेट करना है, हमें रोकना नहीं है, हमें फैसिलिटेट करना है, हमें मोटिवेट करना है लोगों को. वो अगर हम ले आएंगे ना अपने अंदर, और उसके साथ क्या होता है ना, लोग जो ट्राई कर रहे हैं वो डिमोटिवेट नहीं होते ना. यूजुअली क्या होता है कि रेपिटेटिव अटेम्प्ट्स या परसवेरेंस लेके आनी वो मुश्किल स्टेप होता है. तो अगर किसी भी एक यंगस्टर को या कोई भी फॉर दैट मैटर एनी इन्वेंटर एनी रिसर्चर हु इज ट्राइंग टू डू इट, अगर उसको सब जगह पे फैसिलिटेशन मिल जाएगी ना तो वो अपने साथ 10 और लोगों को ले लेगा, और अगर एक का रुक गया तो 10 में से एक होगा जो दोबारा ट्राई करेगा, तिबारा ट्राई करेगा, 4 बारी ट्राई करेगा, बिकॉज उसके लिए एज आई ऑलरेडी सेड यू नीड करेज, यू नीड परसेवरेंस, यू नीड वो बड़े सारे और फैक्टर्स, एंड शायद डेस्टिनी, शायद situations, circumstances, basic nature एक human being की, वो सब they have a role to play. So I think if organizations take it, so we already see that government has a mandate, and we see मतलब mandates, आइडियाज कई बार ना पेपर्स पे रह जाते हैं, प्रैक्टिकली नहीं हो पाते, उसको हम इतना मुश्किल कर देते हैं, इतना रिजिडिटी ले आते हैं उन चीजों में, या उनको इतनी पॉलिसीज, रेगुलेशंस, सो देयर नीड्स टू बी अ फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी, देयर नीड्स टू बी एन ओपननेस, एंड देयर नीड्स टू बी एन एटीट्यूड टू ट्राई, है ना, टू प्रमोट. अगर वो रहेगा तो शायद मुझे लगता है, and I'm hopeful. Mera Bharat Mahan.
Ma'am, it was a wonderful session, and we have come to an end of this session with the last question, and that is also a very beautiful question, ma'am, and it is related to your achievements. So you have done 26 government agency funded projects worth 703 lakh. You have done 13 industry projects consultancy worth 153.5 lakh. And international projects, that is Singapore based project worth 75,000 Singapore dollars. Do you have more than 24 hours in a day, looks like? And how do you hit a balance? Because being female, we understand being a woman, you have a lot of other homely responsibilities also. I was just chatting with you, you have 2 sons, they are doing wonderful in their career. But throughout your career, you have invested a lot of time for this research. You are a role model for women there, and so many female men there. So my question to you
is, I'm flattered by what all you have, jotted down here.
But you can't escape answering. You need to give the answer. How do you get this?
Yes, it has been a long journey. I would say a gradual journey. There have been phases. So there were phases where I felt my family, my children need me more. So I tried. So I think I have been trying to juggle, prioritize. Yes, it is always a challenge being a woman and a homemaker. मेरे husband मुझे हमेशा छेड़ते हैं कि तू जिधर पीछे लग जाती है, पहले तो घर के पीछे, बच्चों के पीछे लगी हुई थी, and you were trying to do that, and now you are after your department, you are trying to improve your institute or your research and your lab, and now you are totally invested there. So probably yes, I would say अब मैं सोचती हूँ तो मुझे लगता है कि शायद there has been a perseverance, and more than that I think it has been that I am doing it for my joy, for my enjoyment, for my gratification, without thinking of larger gratifications. It was for myself that I did it. So I'm trying to do. So जैसे मैं कहती हूँ तो साइंस के लिए कुछ भी. So I feel कि वो इन itself एक जॉय है, डिस्कवरी का, इन्वेंशन का, नई रिसर्च का, नई पब्लिकेशन का, नया पेटेंट का. सो यस, एट टाइम्स यू फील कि 24 से ज्यादा घंटे होने चाहिए. आई वुड से एट टाइम्स यू फील कि बहुत ज्यादा तुमने ओवर कमिट कर लिया या बहुत सारा कुछ है करने के लिए. एंड देयर हैव बीन डेज व्हेन आई गेट अप एंड आई एम हिस्टेरिकल कि आज इतने सारे काम है, कैसे होगा, and then I just sit down and don't do anything. So फिर ये समझ में आती है कि कुछ फट नहीं जाएगा अगर नहीं करेंगे तब भी. And now I have learned कि take every day as it comes, because बड़ी बड़ी क्या होता है कि तुम प्लान कुछ करके जाते हो अपने दिन के लिए, शाम को जब जाते हो कि कल ये करना है, लेकिन आके एजेंडा ही चेंज हो जाता है ना, कुछ और करने को उस दिन के लिए हो जाता है, something comes up. So people always talk of trying to organize your day and trying to have 4 things important and emergent only important and then not so important and something which has to be left. I try to read those self-help books, though I think I am a more spontaneous person. मैं उतना organize तो नहीं कर पाती अपने आप को. But yes, I try to follow my passions, what give me joy. And I feel now I am at a stage where my children are settled. I don't have very many responsibilities. I had my in-laws, my parents, we lost them eventually. So उस तरफ से भी उतनी जिम्मेवारियां नहीं है जो कि इस एज में हो जाती हैं. Like we did our part, है ना. So अब I feel is my golden phase where I can actually contribute,
give back to the society.
Yes.
That is wonderful, ma'am. And ma'am, it is let me tell you honestly, it is always an honor to sit with people like you and listen to the views of people like you.
Thank you, Dr.
who are contributing so much to their own respective fields. And that is something which is required, ma'am. And I'm very sure this entire interaction will be very, very valuable to the people who for whom we are making this entire interaction.
Yes.
So my last request to you is any message you want to give to all my viewers here.
So I wish good luck to all of them. I hope this interaction would, motivate some of you. And I have 2 or 3 messages. The first one is there is no alternative to hard work. Second is read, and read. There is no alternative to this again. Third is do not be demotivated. Try again. There is always there is a book called Tipping Point. I don't know how many of you have read it. So, many a times there have been studies, they talk of instances where they say that people are actually near to that tipping point, so that tula, you add a last speck or एक rice grain के साथ ही वो change हो जाती है. तो बड़ी बारी हम उस stage पे पहुंच चुके होते हैं जब सिर्फ एक चावल के दाने जितनी effort चाहिए होती है, and we get demotivated. So you never know when your tipping point is going to come, and you do try and stay and be sincere to science, because uske bina, I think that is the reason probably people do not have faith in academic institutes in India. That could be a reason why industry is not able to build a trust with us, because we are poor in documentation, one thing, and maybe somewhere the integrity has been diluted. And then another thing which I have to say to any mentors who are out there, that कहीं ना हम गुम हो गए, and we are churning out technicians rather than scientists and researchers, because एक टेक्निक हम उसको कहते हैं डेटा जनरेट करना. सो वो तो मैं किसी भी टेक्नीशियन को ट्रेन कर सकती हूँ ना डेटा जनरेट करने के लिए, लेकिन उस डेटा को इंटरप्रेट करना, इवैल्यूएट करना, उसमें उसको रैशनलाइज करना, उसके रीजंस निकालना, whys, wherefores, hows, when. So that is what science is all about. So we should try and generate our intellectual, generation or our future, और उनको हम उस तरह से ट्रेन करें कि वो सोचें और साइंस करें, वो अपने प्रोटोकॉल्स डिजाइन करें, अपने एक्सपेरिमेंट्स को प्लान करें. वो शायद एक पार्ट है जहाँ पे हमें वर्क करना है.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. It was wonderful, and we wish you a great health and success in your future endeavor. As you rightly said, this is the time for you to now give back to the society, and very less responsibilities now, family side, and you can give your best now, ma'am. Thanks a lot, ma'am, for your time and for this marathon session and wonderful tea.
So my greatest thanks to YourPedia, to Dr. Vijender, to have actually identified me, to have come to me. I didn't know about you before this. So when you sent me that mail, and then I tried to, check out what this forum is. So I really thank for giving me this opportunity to reach out to all those people, all those viewers you have. And I hope, the future is bright for all of us out there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.